How do foreigners legally own UK companies even without stepping foot in UK? The answer lies in a perfectly legal structure that's been hiding in plain sight for decades, generating billions in business activity while most people have never heard of it. I'm talking about nominee directors, a legitimate business service that allows non-UK residents to establish and operate British companies without the traditional barriers of residency or physical presence. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't some shadowy loophole, it's a regulated, transparent system that's become absolutely essential for global commerce. What exactly is a nominee director? Simply put, it's a UK resident who agrees to serve as the official director of your company on paper, while you retain full beneficial ownership and control. Think of it as a legal representative who fulfills the UK's requirement that every limited company must have at least one natural person as a director. Under the Companies Act 2006, every UK company needs at least one director who is a natural person, not another company. For foreign entrepreneurs, this creates an obvious problem. You want to tap into the UK market, benefit from Britain's business-friendly reputation, and access services like Amazon UK seller accounts, but you don't live there. This is where nominee services become invaluable. Companies like zdkformations.co.uk specialize in providing compliant nominee director solutions that bridge this gap legally and efficiently. But before we dive deeper, is this actually legal? Absolutely. Nominee directors are explicitly permitted under UK company law, provided certain transparency requirements are met. The key word here is transparency, because while you can use a nominee director, you cannot hide your true ownership. Here's what changed everything: the people with significant control, PSC register, introduced in 2016. This was the UK government's response to international pressure for greater corporate transparency. Before 2016, beneficial ownership could remain relatively private. After 2016? Not so much. Let me show you the before and after. Pre-2016, if you were a foreign entrepreneur, you could appoint a UK nominee director, and your name might never appear in public records. The nominee's details would be on Companies House, and that was often the end of the trail. Post-2016, the game changed completely. Now, anyone with significant control over a company, typically owning more than 25% of shares or voting rights, must be recorded in the PSC register. This information is publicly available on Companies House. So much for the secrecy loophole myth. But here's what most people don't understand. This transparency requirement actually makes nominee services more legitimate, not less. It separates the wheat from the chaff, eliminating dodgy operators while legitimizing professional services that operate within the law. So why do foreign entrepreneurs still use nominee directors if their names end up public anyway? The reasons are more practical than you might think. First, banking and credibility. UK banks are notoriously difficult for non-residents to work with. Having a UK director, even a nominee, can significantly improve your chances of opening a business bank account. It signals to financial institutions that there's a local point of contact and accountability. Second, compliance and administration. A professional nominee director understands UK company law, filing requirements, and regulatory obligations. They can ensure your company stays compliant while you focus on running your business from wherever you are in the world. Third, the Amazon factor. This is huge right now. Amazon UK's verification process has become increasingly strict, particularly for international sellers. Having a UK company with a UK director can streamline the approval process significantly. But let's talk about responsibility and risk. This is where many people get confused. Is the nominee director personally responsible for your company's actions? The answer is nuanced. Legally, yes. Nominee directors have the same duties and potential liabilities as any other director. They must act in the company's best interests and can be held accountable for the company's actions. However, professional nominee services protect themselves through carefully drafted agreements that limit their involvement to administrative functions only. This creates an interesting tension. The nominee has legal duties to the company, but they're appointed by and accountable to the beneficial owner. Professional services manage this through declaration of trust agreements that clearly define roles and responsibilities. Here's what makes the UK system unique: the combination of regulatory oversight with practical flexibility. You get the credibility and market access of a UK company with professional nominee services handling local compliance, all within a transparent regulatory framework. The costs in 2025 typically range from £1,200 to £3,000 annually for a professional nominee director service. This includes the director's appointment, compliance monitoring, and usually some level of administrative support. What about the risks? The main risk isn't legal, it's reputational. If your nominee director is associated with multiple companies, or if they're not properly qualified, it can reflect poorly on your business. This is why due diligence on your nominee service provider is crucial. There are also practical limitations. Most UK banks will still require the beneficial owner to be involved in account opening, even with a nominee director. The nominee can't make major business decisions without your involvement. And if your company gets into legal trouble, having a nominee director won't shield you from scrutiny. For Amazon UK sellers specifically, the nominee director route has become increasingly popular. Amazon's Know Your Customer (KYC) requirements are strict, and having a UK company with a UK director can significantly smooth the verification process. But remember, you'll still need to provide your own identity documents as the beneficial owner. Here's the bottom line: nominee directors aren't a privacy loophole. They're a legitimate business tool for international entrepreneurs who need UK market access while maintaining operational flexibility. The key is working with reputable providers who understand both the legal requirements and the practical realities. The regulatory environment continues to evolve. Enhanced due diligence requirements mean nominee service providers must know their clients better than ever. Anti-money laundering regulations require extensive documentation, and HMRC supervision ensures providers maintain proper standards. What does this mean for you? If you're considering a nominee director, focus on compliance, not concealment. Choose providers who emphasize transparency and regulatory adherence. For example, ZDK formations. Understand that your beneficial ownership will be public record. And remember that the nominee director is a service provider, not a shield. The UK's approach to nominee directors reflects a broader trend in international business regulation, balancing legitimate commercial needs with transparency requirements. It's not about hiding ownership. It's about enabling global commerce within a regulated framework. Whether you need a nominee director depends on your specific circumstances. If you're a foreign entrepreneur looking to establish a UK presence, access UK banking, or streamline processes like Amazon seller verification, a nominee director might be exactly what you need. But if you're looking for secrecy or trying to avoid regulatory oversight, you're looking in the wrong place. The billion-dollar question isn't whether nominee directors are legal. They are. It's whether they're right for your business model and risk tolerance. In an increasingly connected global economy, services that enable legitimate international business while maintaining regulatory compliance aren't loopholes. They're necessities. Professional nominee director services will continue to evolve alongside regulatory requirements. The providers who thrive will be those who embrace transparency, maintain high compliance standards, and focus on legitimate business facilitation rather than privacy protection. The UK's nominee director system represents something fascinating: a legal framework that acknowledges the realities of global business while maintaining oversight and accountability. It's not perfect, but it's a pragmatic solution to a real-world problem. For international entrepreneurs, understanding this system isn't just useful, it's essential. Whether you're launching an e-commerce business, establishing a UK subsidiary, or simply exploring your options, knowing how nominee directors actually work can save you time, money, and potential compliance headaches. The key is approaching it with the right expectations. You're not buying secrecy, you're buying expertise, local presence, and regulatory compliance. And in today's business environment, that might be exactly what you need. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into international business structures. Drop a comment below with your questions about UK company formation. I read every single one. And if you know someone who's been curious about establishing a UK business presence, share this video with them. Understanding these systems is the first step to using them effectively,